Hello my friends, welcome to the show. My name of course is Rocky Outcrop, and this is the Rocky Outcrop show, where we will be discussing Bitcoin versus the US dollar and our favorite altcoins. As I can see that this here needs to be sorted out. I'd obviously tricked myself with this. There we go. So welcome to the show, and I wonder out there how many of you ever watched the Tom Green show back in the day. Did you ever watch that one? The Do you remember the intro music to the Tom Green show? This is the Tom Green show. It's not the Green Tom show. This is my favorite show because it is my show. If this was your show, you'd probably like it more, but it is not your show. It is the Tom Green show. Well, welcome to the show. It's not the Tom Green show, but it is the Rocky Outcrop show. Got to be starting something. Here we go. That's right, back in the live scene, as it were, looking at the Bitcoin charts, and it's got to be starting something. Got to be starting something. Too high to get over. Oh. Too low to get under. Oh. Stuck in the middle. Doody-doo. Got to be starting something. Oh, that's right. Bitcoin has of course been listening to Michael Jackson and is right there in this symmetrical triangle formation. If you'd like to see the evolution of this triangle, how about we run through it right now? I'll just move these things out of sight, out of mind, over to the left here, and remind focals what we were looking at t'other day. As ambulance goes by outside or something like that, there's always got to be starting something. Where is the triangle tool? So what we were looking at the other day was the potential for an ascending triangle, and saying, well, hey, like actually it was more like this sort of thing. If it were to come out of it just here, it might be front running it slightly, maybe wouldn't therefore get the full measured move. And the measured move off of this then of course looked something along these sorts of lines, up the way, whatever, coming in for new highs. So it did break out of it though a little bit early, and then what that turned into, if you just kind of stretch this up the way, is of course a rising wedge. And this rising wedge was going up and up and up and up, and of course then the measured move off of this thing is similar to the one from the ascending triangle before, given the way that this works of course with the old triangles there and the measurements from them. And we pretty much got that measured move, you could say, really overall. But what did that do? How could we have possibly have known in at this stage last night that we were looking at a potential turnaround? Well, this line obviously extends down as far as that area there, but if I just drag over to the left, you can see with the two previous highs up there at the 41,500 whatever area, where those were closing at 42,000, and you extended a line between these two highs and then kept going down. Then it intersected nicely with our wedge over here. And if we were to then take the same sort of concept in mind and pop in a wee line between these lows over here, and then stretch it up the way to join up with our top here to form a triangle over here, then of course you see that we have this triangle on the go. And lo and behold, then of course we can remove the ghost of triangles and patterns past here off the chart, and leaves us with where we are right now. Got to be starting something. Got to be starting something. So that's what we're waiting for. Ooh, with the Bitcoin pricing. Ooh, stuck in the middle. Do. And it leaves us with a different measured move target than before. If we just pop this in and then of course draw this up the way, what are we looking at? The log chart is what I've got on at the minute, by the way. That's why that measured move line seems to shrink as it goes towards the top side, with these scales on the right being of course in the logarithmic format, making this shrinky winky. So it brings you all the way up towards 52k, doodle-doo. And that of course would be nice if that were to happen for the for Zoner's prediction, but that's a little bit ahead of time, you see, in terms of Zoner's crystal ball over there. Shout out to Zoner if he's in the chat at the minute. I'll check in with all you chatty folks, chatty Cathys, in not too long. Of course, if we were to drop down towards the downside, then of course it looks like it stretches out even further with the old measuring move and that takes you down towards 23,254. Just to bring that into the context of the overall market, if you look down towards the 23,000 area, 23,000 whatever in this 24,000 section here, then you can see there's a gap on the old CME, the coronal mass ejection chart, the chart which is of course drawn together by Russian cosmologists who of course have got their handle on the Bitcoin pricing, and it's really quite something to see. Here we have the potential turnaround then, and it's really lovely actually, you know, discuss it. Whoops. It was discussing this yesterday night, for instance, with TradeSpot, when we drew this in, of course, the prices being up around about this price here, and looking at it and saying, well, what do we have here as well at the same sort of time on the 4 hour chart? Is this a Tony Vase style number 9 on the TD sequential? Of course it wasn't our man Tone that invented that, but you know, he likes a bit the old TD. And where do we find ourselves now? When we cross down below the 9 period moving average there, the simple moving average, then of course we came on down towards these lows. That's in around about 34 sub 35k area, and maybe we're going towards the top side now. And if we did do that and we had a target in mind for it, it could be sort of the 39,000s again, giving you hecadecals of trading you know, ranges here to be played with, looking at over 10% moves, you know, 15% from the top to bottom there, and of course, of course, in terms of the high, the low to the high, to another 15% there, and all that good stuff. So then, of course, the title of the video, well, the title of the video is Rocky Outcrop Show. Welcome to it, by the way. If you've not hit that like button yet, then go ahead, do that. Just giving you a wee reminder. I'm sure you wouldn't want to leave the channel without having done that. So in terms of what else were we talking about there? Well, actually, I don't know. I guess maybe I'd summed this up already. What else we could be looking at just right now is we've got this still the negative trend on the go with regards to the Bitcoin pricing, and that is gaining a little bit of strength, and it's understandable while we are obviously consolidating as we go in, and it's reasonable to anticipate that you could come in with lower highs again if that were to be the case. Now, if we do go on and break out past this zone, then of course, yes, the title of the video thumbnail says breakout on it. So yeah, if we were to be doing that, then of course that would happen at around about the 40k area. So bearing in mind that a move upward outside of the triangle in terms of just trying to get the whole measured move is 30%. There is the potential for breakouts or fake outs. That's actually drawn in wrongly in terms of the percentage. It's not, you know, it's whatever, because whatever. No, it's fine. No, it was correct. Nice. In terms of getting that 15% as well, where could that take you up towards that sort of 46,000? And we know that there's a few targets up there, higher up above, based on various doodads in the pricing, and one of them is the Fibonacci retracement. Now, just to keep things nice and simple, hope you've appreciated in terms of the simplicity and yet the advanced level that we're looking at in terms of today's technical analysis. You know, we're giving this a really thorough rundown in terms of what we're looking at with it from a bunch of different angles here. At the same time, you know, I'm explaining out the history, but at the same time, I'm hopefully keeping it all relatively accessible for everybody. So the 3 targets up the way, if you were looking at them just in terms of the most recent, and this is roughly drawn in as well, you could do with being done a bit better, but the 3 targets towards the top side there really coming out the 1.272, the 1414, the 1618. You know, you're talking 45, 47, well, 40, whatever, 49,000 or so, and of course that ties in fairly well with any sorts of moves that you get out of this thing up as far as, you know, as far as the ultimate target up there, with plenty of opportunities to be taking profits. Now, if you were to go towards the downside, what kind of downside targets could you be looking at? Well, first off, you know, bearing in mind fake out zone coming in here, the 236 in there at 33,000. So just to bear this in mind, that you're going to be going down past this area first off, before you could really say that you've not just been just tempting, you know, tempting the diagonal angle lords to change it around slightly and still just be fine. And then afterwards, you know, you're looking down towards these targets, and bearing in mind that in here at this blue line at 26,000 would be a very easy area for it to turn around at. There's a couple of ways to measure this out from in terms of Fibonacci extensions as well towards the downside, the same way we did towards the top, and they come in at around about the 1272, 1414, 1618. They are 27,000, 26,500, 23,500, and that would bring you down towards those ultimate targets of this measured move. etc., etc. And that is the overall technical analysis for you. So let's just bring the oscillators up and give them a little bit of time here on screen. And you're looking at this trend now. How does that actually shape up with regards to the higher time frames? And as you can see, we're kind of while the strength of trend remains in place as yet with regards to the overall upward movement that we've had previously. We've seen the typical rejection in around about areas where you would expect to see a pullback, and then we actually have had decent sized pullbacks, resulting in us still in the effective chop territory there while the strength of trend remains in place. Now, of course, this is the expanded version of the same story. If we were to go on down the way here, then things get kind of into that period where you could see greater and continued volatility as we try to sort of shake this out. But if we don't do that and just kind of continue towards the top side, then this would resume with a business as usual thrust towards the upside, bearing in mind that we could be looking even as deep as something like what we saw on the 11th of December there in terms of movements on that particular one. And on the weekly time frame, you can see that it's just strength and business as usual. However, there is the case to be drawn in here that we have come up above the red line on the weekly time frame, and as you can see, whenever that happens with either the ADX or indeed one of the DMs, then you're looking at the chances of there being a pullback fairly strongly. So we're going to keep our eye out at that blue level, and let's all bear in mind as well the ultimate final sort of story with everything that support in the past, when it's broken becomes resistance, support, yada yada yada. So just dropping on down the way, sticking something like the 1 hour time frame on, hitting the auto button and bringing this up full screen, we can see that we've had a degree of rejections in around about concepts like that. We can see that this could have been considered resistance, obviously then support thereafter, and get the rejection from that. And on the small term time frame, you could say that we've got this head and shoulders which has been playing out towards the downside as we approached up there towards the top. And of course, looking at this, then you'd expect to see the likelihood of something looking like this here on the RSI down below, as we do indeed see. And the stochastics, of course, they're pointing towards the downside with this triangular effort here. Are they ready to spring back up? Well, of course they would be, but everything's primed in terms of that. We don't have the extreme volatility on the go right here. Wouldn't expect to see so much because, of course, what we could see when we have it happen is at the extreme. Well, it's not happened so far in terms of the DMI here. And that's due to the strength of trend never having managed to get so deep. It would have needed a bit of sideways action in advance, so we've not had any of that. We're just oscillating along nicely, and that's where we have it, dropping down towards the 15-minute time frame and just kind of zooming back out again. The current sort of idea is that if we do go down below this 382 on a sort of fairly high basis, then if we don't find support at 34,000, then of course the next target is going to be that 32,675 area. Likewise, towards the top side, if we want to start kind of undoing the damage of this small time frame head and shoulders, the next area we're looking to is 37,500. These are numbers we've spoken about in the recent past, and it's no surprise to be back on target with them yet again. And so just actually going to turn off this heater half below me because I've probably providing a degree of background noise that's not wanted on the channel. Hope everybody's doing well. There's your technical analysis for Bitcoin. We will do some more brief technical analysis for the other coins that we look at. Keeping good time so far here. Haven't explained everything really that I want to explain with regards to the chart. Only things that I haven't mentioned are to the things like the potential for this lowering of the price points while we have the increase of the lows here coming in higher, as the MACD showing them being lower gives you that idea of course, hidden bullish divergence, kind of confirming the bigger storyline that we're looking at here as we look on the small time frame. Suppose I should give this a little bit more real estate on the screen if I'm going to be talking about it. And there's that, and that of course would probably tie up with some sort of really dinky wee time frame wedge on the go just there now. And then in terms of the top side, you're seeing the same scenario when I go up a time frame with that high and the following subsequent lower high coming in here with this higher high in terms of the top side here. If you're looking at this as being a sort of downward trend, and all determined by perspective. It's just like nuclear physics, or down there at the quantum level. Whoops, what am I trying to do there? And speaking of which, then in terms of EMAs, I really didn't want to do a technical analysis as deep as this, but it's been so simple all the way along. I think you can follow along with it and kind of learn from looking at it. In terms of the EMAs, I've just popped these other set on that I've got, which is also missing a whole bunch. In terms of the EMAs, they're not going to get a look in right now in this episode because cool, we've talked about it, but that's cool. Excellent. How's everybody doing in the chat there? It's good to see everyone. Is going to pop this onto live chat on my screen so I don't miss out on anything. Just see that Navanethan was back in here first yet again. K-Doc coming in with second place. Nice one. Always come second, just like England taught us to do. Well done, K-Doc. Navanethan, Lamau, top lad. Great to see everybody chatting there. David Rodriguez, Alvarez, nice to have you here, buddy. Good to have you here. Hello. And we're seeing Ethereum and Bitcoin having dropped a bit. This could be your sort of get out of jail card, I suppose, that we're talking about right now live on the show. Welcome to everybody that you hear. If you haven't hit the like button yet, I would really appreciate it. If you haven't shared my content with your friends, then come on, a friend of yours is a friend of ours. Hey. Nice to see the chat that's going on in there. And of course, then we have Artie Pyle joining in to say hello, Outcropticians. Everything's going along really smoothly, everybody. It's good to have you here with us for the show today, with the highs so far in Bitcoin pricing today being up as high as 39,700 and the lows down there at 34,500, making trading really, interesting in around these times if you're willing to just go with the flow at the minute. And of course, that's Bitcoin, and we are expecting it to be starting something. It's got to be starting something some point soon as it listens to Michael Jackson, but it's whether about, at some point whether these highs are too high to get over, and these lows too low to get under, with that stuck in the middle song. That's of course Michael Jackson. I keep on singing that there for the laughs. Okay, so that's cool. Welcome to the show, everybody. And at the 16-minute 45-second point, I suppose I'll be going over to do some. So I'll join you back in the chat shortly, and welcome here if you are just joining us to take a look at Ethereum. In terms of the structure right now on the chart, you can see that we've had this high, a low, a lower high, and at the minute there is the chance that we turn around at this point for a couple of reasons. If I zoom out here just on this Ethereum chart and show you the Fibonacci that we've got drawn in here, we can see that this 236 point comes in there, 1,109, having been drawn in from the lows, by the way, over there on the sort of the following the September or the late August high, September high, then that on that pullback up to where we are now. That's where the 236 is, but there's more to the story than that, and let me just kind of demonstrate it really quickly by jumping over to the Bitcoin chart where we have this drawn in already. We've got this triangle, that could be happening between these 2 points, and the way that you measure a move off of the back of a triangle just like this is you go from the high that you have here down to the low over here and just draw a measuring stick in, and that would of course be on this chart the equivalent of going between $1,365 down to around about the $950. So we could call that a $400 move if we were to break past these highs here. So $400 towards the top side. Could see the Bitcoin pricing, the Ethereum pricing, forgive me, going up as high as the 1600 level. That would be a big move up, and towards the downside you could see it going down as low as something like the $600 level, which would be of course a big shock. Now let me just draw that in there, and having talked about it in advance, hopefully having talked through that a little bit more in advance of actually drawing it in, we can see similar sorts of things, in terms of it coming out of this analysis when I draw the measuring sticks in, etc. That as to what we talked about, up towards that 1600. Well, it comes in at about 1700 there. I drew it in quite roughly, but in around about that 1600, say 1650 area or so, and then all the way down here to the 600s and 50s. Yes, it does stretch a lot down. This is a logarithmic chart, so you can see how that's understood. Hopefully that explains some of the theory for you in a way that makes it a little bit more enlightening, rather than seeing it kind of being drawn on and then trying to figure out what it was that determined this measured move, etc. After the fact. We did it the other way around, which is quite nice. So that's what we're looking at, and if we were to do that, what does that tell us in terms of this Fibonacci retracement that we're looking at just now? And of course that's coming in past this 618 golden pocket zone and taking out this structure over here. So really, if you were trading this towards the downside, you'd be looking at taking profits in advance of that, and then perhaps letting some run. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is financial advice, of course, but in terms of managing your risk at these areas. And then in terms of the top side, we have to be, and the lower side here in terms of breakouts, we need to be aware of fake outs, that anything above 950 is really just not really changed the structure overall. Anything below 1367 hasn't changed the structure overall. But then towards the top side, where could you be looking to in terms of taking profits? And we already did this sort of thing on Bitcoin. Let's just do it here and fling on one for this Ethereum. And what we're looking at is the 1272 coming in there at 1482, just coming in with a new all-time high just there or thereabouts into that area. And that would of course make sense, testing your previous highs. And we'll be jumping over to take a look at Chainlink, for instance, in a minute, and that might be somewhat revealing in terms of that discussion. But then when you look up towards the 1414, you have the 1546 price point, the 1618 coming in there at 1638. So you're seeing the numbers actually kind of being not too dissimilar to their Fibonacci level, and that $1,600 area of course is the measured move, and that's what we're looking at with regards to Bitcoin currently. Now we're consolidating, so I'm not going to put too much emphasis on any sorts of divergences that you see in this area, just to make it clear that there isn't really all that much on the go. And in terms of the 24-hour time frame, we're still positioned ready to go either way with this sort of perfectly lined up for the symmetrical triangle and to carry through the momentum on the DMI. Here we are just at the edge of the bullish control zone, asking questions about it with this potential resistance above us from the moving average. However, breaking into that zone and going past that does then lead to the potential to go up and put in new highs. We did have a bit of bearish divergence previously, but overall we've been looking decent in terms of the upward movements overall, and we haven't had any sort of real significant point swing failures along the way really in terms of this timeline for the last while to really be wary of. Overall as well, stochastics currently pointing towards the top side, but we're in the symmetrical triangle at the we have the ability to go up here and push on for higher highs and etc, and maybe put in a really nice move up there that would coincide nicely with going in for your all-time highs, having pulled back in advance of that move when you were struggling previously with a bit of bearish divergence at previous tops, to be able to go on there and maybe have reset the oscillator. Or of course we're primed to then come in and fail to take out our previous highs and then drop down the way, having had a bit of a reversal on the go, bearing in mind that there's various different targets to look to along the way for that sort of thing to be coming into fruition. But what we need to keep our eye out for in the most simplest sense at the minute is this price point at 1100 and this price point up here at 1350 or so, and asking are we breaking past either of them, and if we are doing so, what does the volume look like at the time, etc., and are we coming in with any sorts of signs of potential divergences, and would we need to think counterintuitively perhaps in around that area, or just go with the flow? In between times there's plenty of trading range to be had, just taking it from where the current price point is more or less and looking towards the upside. You're talking about 10% moves towards the downside, 10% moves in either direction currently. Overall I suppose it's all good. You can trade this either way and manage your risk fairly nimbly. In fact, I'm sure if you just do simple sort of things, looking between these highs and lows in regards of the 236 Fibonacci retracement point, for example, between these points here, if we were to break past it again towards the top side, for instance, what would that work? If we were to go down below this point, how would that work with regards to your managing your risk and all the rest of it? But that's overall just kind of everything that you really more or less need to know with regards to trading that one at the moment. And of course, nice to see you, Jacob Dement. Good to have you here. Good to have you here, Evan. Do you see the cut-up handle on Ethereum? So I just see that you're asking me that. Let's have a look and see if we can see one. And yeah, some chat just going in there, just chat going on between the outcropticians. So in terms of the low term time frame, not seeing it jumping out at me unless you're talking about this with a severe sort of sharp bottom part here. This is the 50-minute time frame. We don't have a twin peak really between the two top sides. It's a bit premature on that front to be looking at it that way. Let's go up a bit towards the 1 hour. Again, you're looking for a twin peak. We don't seem to have one. Are you on I mean, like, yeah, you could try and think about it that way, but it doesn't really serve a great deal of purpose if you were looking at it and you're simply saying, well, because the cup with handle Let me know the time frame that you're talking about, by the way. But if given that the cup with handle has a certain sort of rules about it, it's nice to fully sort of understand the rules and look at them and ask what implications that really has in terms of what you would be what it would look like on the charts at any given time. So for instance, if you were to be talking about the handle section of a cup with handle, you're looking at that retracing no more than 50% towards the downside from the base and towards the top. So in terms of, you know, speculatively not caring the fact that this doesn't have the twin peak at the top or anything like that, if we were just saying, well, hey, we have this, there's some sort of cup with handle that happened previously to this price point here, and we're just studying the end game zone, then we're looking at that and saying, well, where's the 50% area on this one? And it comes in around about where, of course, the prices are have been as low as they're at down at 1093. So, you know, breaking past that kind of puts it into failure mode. You would have different targets towards the downside. They'd be the ones we were talking about anyway. Movements up the way here currently, you know, we're already seeing it in action. Are we able to take it the 382? But sure, that doesn't mean anything quite yet, because if this is, you know, the maths behind it, you know, we're still only just at the 236 here by not taking out that 382. So evidently, you know, nothing is, you know, the likelihood in this sense is that we would go back down and retest that currently. So you would need to be seeing something decent happening at this level for you to then say, well, this was possible in terms of being that. And it doesn't really look that good for it in terms of, you know, its distinct immediate downward move there. So you wouldn't be thinking like that necessarily. You'd have to just kind of, it doesn't really properly work from a sort of pattern point of view, unless of course we're talking about it from a really big time frame point of view. So I'm going up to the 24-hour time frame here. Don't have enough history on this chart. Is this the one with enough history? Okay, cool. So like if you're talking about this as being your cup, right? It's a bit silly maybe on the 24-hour time frame to fit that much data on screen. I'll just hide all of that as well. If you're talking about this being your cup, ideal pattern of volume down below would it to have a bit more of a base in here, and not have this extreme peak as well in the bottom of it. But you know, if you're talking about it from this point of view, then what does it really become on the first half? Because what we talked about already in terms of low-term frames is the second half of the cup with handle. The first half is talking about twin peak, and it's again just the same as any twin peak pattern. And you want to be looking at it and saying, well, here's a horizontal line run along at where we had our all-time high. What's that coming at as it happens? Well, we know we've got a Fibonacci line on there showing us where it is here anyway. So what's it coming at? Well, it's just at the top end of this pitchfork, you know, at the warning line. If we break beyond it, we could easily go up towards the next line of that, and that's the 1779 area, yada yada yada. If we don't do that, then what are we looking at towards the downside? And we've got various, you know, targets in mind. This Fibonacci right here, is that the Fibonacci? No. So the same way that you do it in terms of, you know, the right hand side, looking up the way, there's your 50% area in there at 691. We've already discussed all these targets anyway. So, you know, it depends on what you're talking about. That would be a broad one. If we were looking then for the measured move off the back of the big one, it's highly unlikely that you were talking about this, but this is the one that looks more like it out of everything that we've looked at so far. And that's just purely because you've got a twin peak. This is the logarithmic chart. So this massive candle towards, you know, measured move actually stacks up like this. It takes us up towards the 2.24, and that's $3,000 Ethereum. And that's a realistic enough target in the terms of the you know, the 2021 type prices and your sort of your next crazy move. If you're looking for that, of course, that's 300% towards the top side, and that's mental. So there you go. Failing to do so, of course, you know, we're talking about big moves towards the downside anyway, nearly 50% off, etc, etc, etc. So it's miles away, and that's what we're looking at. Cool. So that's that one. We're now 28 minutes in. Sweet. So that was like a 12 minutes of Ethereum. Pretty hardcore. Everything you need to know. Facilitated in part by the Bitcoin technical analysis at the start, giving everybody a nice sort of baptism of fire, if you like. Now let's see what the next chart looks like. And there was something that I wanted to talk about with regards to the Link USD chart, and of course that was with the bear in mind the all-time high type idea. So where do we find ourselves right now? Well, this is somewhat of a familiar sight in terms of where we just came from looking at Ethereum, but this is of course on a shorter term basis with a nice run up beforehand. And what do we see in terms of distinction between the Ethereum chart and this one right here? So just evolving that learning. This is what we try to do in the channel, Transformative TA. If you're just joining us, I'm Rocky Outcrop, do technical analysis here on the live. Go and hit that subscribe button, go and hit that like button, and of course if you're here and you haven't hit that yet, what are you doing? So anyway, this is more like the cup with handle type volume that we're talking about, and of course then you're sat here at Twin Peak stations at the minute, just putting in a couple of horizontal lines so that you can see the significance of the point of which I was making before. You can see that we have, of course, achieved an all-time high today, and that is fantastic to see with the link pricing. Did you know that? Did you know that we've had an all-time high on link? Have I lined that up good enough? Yeah, it's good enough for me. But of course, you know, currently we're looking and asking a question: will we actually achieve? Will we manage to stay above this point here at 1922, so that we can close out this all-time high with, you know, a body close all-time high as well, closing below the all-time high wicks previously, but really kind of, you know, impressing the price with this price action towards the top side? Or could this turn out to be one of those Twin Peak efforts where you're looking down the way and saying that you could have a cup with handle? And if we pop this in here, now this is not done necessarily exactly price point wise, I'm kind of just, you know, eyeballing that there, but it's probably close enough, and everything we're looking at will be within a couple of bucks, a couple of pennies. Anyway, the 618 down here, where you don't want to be going, bearing in mind if you're talking about cup with handle, is in there at 1270s down to 1226. Now, of course, you could see it wicking down there, etc., etc. But let's see if we could get more of a handle style structure where at least, you know, you've got that similar essential sort of bear flag structure to it. That would be more ideal. Then, of course, we'd be looking down towards coming in at this price point right here. There we have the 50% line at 1438, right? Okay, and putting in a higher low, as you can see, higher than our previous one, and moving towards the top side with the chance then of coming up here and taking out that upward side stuff. Now, why would you say all that, Rocky? Well, here on the 3-day time frame, you can see that we're still in the chop territory with regards to the DMI. Jumping down the way, the 2-day time frame, similar story, but looking a lot better. The daily time frame, of course, really looking good currently right now. That's the same as the 24-hour on this chart. The 12-hour time frame looking very good as well, reaching towards the top side. And then on the 4-hour time frame, giving you that question, like, if we see this on the 12-hour time frame, we get a pullback here, then what are we looking at? Well, of course, this would, looking towards our left, then represent bearish divergence. I mean, it would avoid what we're looking at in terms of bearish divergence. This would currently be bearishly divergent. Likewise, here in the RSI, this would be currently bearish divergent, and that's where that counterintuitive thinking comes in again. Well, do you actually really want necessarily to be doing that and closing at that level or not? Now, it looks like it's unavoidable. Actually, it currently is, because we already closed it in there yesterday or 12 hours ago in terms of that divergence. That happened. Instead, now what you'd prefer to see would be to ride up towards the top side and, of course, take out this in terms of divergence. Instead, what you'd be looking at is for this to have had a very nice lot of room to expand. So again, you're looking to avoid taking out your previous low in terms of price action and your previous low in terms of RSI should we see any pullbacks, because that would represent at this point here and this point here a swing failure on those. But of course, we don't have that. There's nothing to worry about in terms of that sense right now, as we're still up here in that zone that we mentioned already. Now, if we do go towards the downside, there's a clear and easy target where you're going to have a nice compromise at, with the 236, you know, in there at $18 and sort of 10 cents, or $18.30, I suppose. $18, actually $18, call it $18, and that's okay, and that's $1.50 down from where we are right now. But we don't want to be a dollar short, a buck short, a dime too late, a buck short, whatever that phrase is. Let's just try and see if we can stay up there at the minute. But we know where we're going if we don't. And of course, there's the potential for a 50% Fibonacci retracement pullback. That comes in there at 1438, and that would offer up a fantastic buy should we ultimately see a cup with handle on this time frame, having put in these higher highs. It's a question of how these turn out at the minute, and of course we have burnt off enough steam on the oscillators down below, which to give us both, you know, the double-edged sword of the potential for bearish divergence with the potential, of course, for it to go on up the way. If we did get bearish divergence, then what does this mean? Less, of course, than if it was in the oversold territory or the overbought territory, which of course it isn't, and we're not in that overbought territory really on any of them, apart from the stochastics. And at this point here, well, you know, there's a bit of it, but whatever. So long as we stay above these price targets, we're doing all right. Ultimately, taking out the 618, of course, by the way, breaks the structure, and you're talking about taking out your previous low, and in which case you've changed this around for a medium term aspect, and that could be dangerous for a number of reasons. And of course, that all ties together with what it is to be in a cup with handle, because this is typical of what you'd be seeing then like that. And that's a much better sort of education on that concept, with a nice segue being lent to us by the Ethereum pricing. This bearish divergence we saw previously, well, you know, we've got the chance to rectify a lot of that currently. You know, actually, wait, that's it's there, but we could absolutely rectify all of that, having been found support at the neutral line there. Nice to see it. So there we go. That's less than 10 minutes on the Chainlink technical analysis, and I think we more or less covered yet again everything you really need to know with this one. Now, I'm not giving you exact price targets to get in and out at necessarily. I haven't actually drawn in the measured move off the back of this. I suppose I ought to, having spent so long talking about it, but you're looking at anything up towards sort of $32 on that one. Now that's of course a third up from where the prices are right now. We already know there's various other targets towards the top side, just easy simple ones to look to: 23, 25, 27, or maybe, you know, more like 23 and a half, you know, 25 and then 28, whatever. It's all good. We've covered all that in detail in the recent episodes. Nice to have you here, Gank L. Seeing you say hello all, and hello all to you as well. Nice to see everybody chatting away as well. Are you a big fan of Twin Peaks, Rocky? Yeah, I am. There's a good deal of psychological breakdown amongst market participants at Twin Peaks, and as well, it's yeah. I mean, it forms the basis of, it's a component. You know, I think about things in a wee bit more of a modular way, perhaps than the textbooks and the like would like to make you think that people tend to think of things. Of course, there are people who are very, very structured in that they have that sort of very direct look at patterns and play exactly sort of as it is all the time. But you can see components and within them repeating, and the same sort of structures, you know, lend into similar types of outcomes. And when we see this happening on like time after time, things happening on the charts, and we know that they have kind of that this chart is in many ways analogous to a sort of the psychology of the market at any given time, you know, where we've got this positivity and we've got this this negativity here, and but then we had this hope down here, etc. You know, all sorts of things that come into the play whenever you're looking at the structure and whatever else. And it's easier to imagine, you know, how the psychology around certain patterns work, and at certain times, and that's when the twin peak component comes into play. I mean, it's the same sort of basic principle underpinning the head and shoulders neckline. So yes, I would say so. However, I wouldn't necessarily just say flick to the twin peak pattern in Bilkowski's textbook. I was going to look that up on the old Googlyplex there, but my keyboard is now continuously typing T and won't stop. Going to stop, please. There we go. Image is for Twin Peak pattern. This may actually represent a problem for me. What's going on with this right now? How inconvenient, keyboard. Has it stopped? I believe it stopped. Right, well, we'll not look it up because maybe there's a crumb stuck in there and it's something like that. It's a Bluetooth keyboard though. Maybe there's something else going on with it. Who knows? Who the heck knows? Now, right, cool. So 39 minutes into this one, and we're going to dive on over to take a look at our chum Tezos. Just a reminder, by the way, Tezos is a fantastic coin for trading, as I've been telling people for a long time, and does represent a more difficult hodl in many ways than other types of coins, where I've seen different aspects to their nature, whatever. We've been trading this really well on this show for a long time now. What we're seeing is a low coming in here, which has given us the potential for hidden bullish divergence with this most recent of lows here. Now, of course, if we zoom on in the way, we can see that that it's not actually taken at the previous structure, etc., giving you that potential quite nicely, which would be okay if we were to see this then re-emerge with the upward trend towards the top side, and that would be quite nice. If we don't do that, then of course we could potentially be looking at things like broadening wedge in this structure, and your easy target off of that would be back down here at the 20, that at a particular number that we've talked about numerous times in the past. Let's call it somewhere in around about 220. But if you were also then looking up the just at this 236 at 228, you could maybe hope for preservation in around that zone. But of course we want to just continue on with the overall upward trend that we've had. This is simply the 1 hour time frame. Jumping up towards the 4 hour time frame, we can see that this is absolutely nothing to write home about, and we're still up above the 9 period simple moving average. What we aren't up above currently is this 236 over here, which is where we want to be, essentially, because this is going to invalidate the current downward side potential. Now, the current downward side potential has already been fully met with that movement towards the top side. So what I'm actually going to do with regards to this here right now is actually remove that Fibonacci off here and the squiggly line, and instead talk about where we want to see the prices stay above if they're able to, or in fact, where they've got to move above with regards to where we've just seen here. And we're below it, at the minute here, with 271 being that key area, and we've not quite come down as far as a 618 on this one. And if we were to, that would be asking severe questions about the structure within this little bit of a move here on the 4 hour time frame. So it'd be ideal not to. We have come down as far as the 50% and wicked back up again, and that's been a nice rejection on that side in the same ways we saw a rejection off the top there in the recent time. But of course that's slightly a component of the shockwaves that get felt throughout the market at any point in time. Now, this is a low, and this was a lower low at that point in time, and we can see here that the low and the lower low on the RSI were both convergent. Likewise on the stochastics. So at the minute, I'm kind of asking little questions here in the 4 hour time frame about these, if they're kind of if they're not seeing the movement, and this is the wrong time frame in a sense to be looking at, because as you can see here in the DMI, just at that point there and that point there was indeed not hidden, just classic bullish divergence there between those 2 points. So that's a question that I'm trying to answer as we're seeing this trend, as we see the trend which is bullish cross down below the ADX just here. Can we see this turn around and continue towards the top side, or are we ultimately going to have to come back down and revisit the lows that when we burst out of this area that we haven't quite visited yet here? So we have, in fact, this here, this wick that we saw right here is a perfect example then, I suppose, of the fulfillment of this volatility section, having experienced it at this point in time and then come back down to test exactly again off the median line of the parallel channel, which forms the part of the pitchfork in the background, making up my most beautiful world to be living in terms of trading and everything else. So all the targets going to hit perfectly if we go down below this median line here. So we're going to call it 240s is where we need to stay above zone. It's get very sort of uncomfortable in the 250s, and we know 252 is a big number for us, but as soon as we get above 290, things look very much rosier, taking out our previous highs and coming in with the potential for a move up into the $3. Now, we have been rejected from the $3 zone in terms of our highs coming up towards the 290s recently a couple of times. We've seen as high as 290 flat today. So let's see if we can actually really do it in the next attempt. We have got this increase in volume along the way. That remains the case. There was a drop off at this point earlier on, but it does indeed remain the case. And in terms of towards the top side, we do have this divergence on the go, is in terms of these most recent highs 1, 2, 3. But what does that mean? It's a warning sign for us, and let's be aware, 1, 2, 3 here, this isn't actually a high because we didn't close above it, so we can discount the third number on that one. Let's just remove that and say, okay, so 1, 2, whoops, I didn't want to remove the whole RSI, calm down. So what we can say is 1, 2. Let's examine that a little bit more closely and see how we've been getting on. So that was the point here, which is lower. that while we had a point over here on the price action which was indeed higher, and then the prices then of course did actually ultimately put in this low where we're seeing the classic bullish divergence on the DMI right before this point of volatility, which did indicate that we could come back down and re-challenge this zone, but we've wicked down and already tested it as well. So while I would like to say that this could potentially oscillate down the way and to look out for all these zones and to not go into a sort of bullish aspect on things, I'm actually just going to sort of break form here slightly and say that if you were to be taking trades off the back of this, it would make a good deal of sense if you were looking up towards those high areas that we've discussed already, with the potential for turnarounds on there and bounces down the way, if we're able to successfully take out this previous highs in the 290s and burn off the divergence between this point and the most recent point. Do that without divergence, and then of course everything at that point starts to look quite dandy, because the top side targets are of course a good deal higher up from all of that, and that was simply the 4-hour time frame. So just jumping up towards the top side. By the way, I'm not a financial advisor, none of this is financial advice, and I would absolutely manage my risk fairly tightly on this one, because I know that it does like to range around a wee bit for us. As we can see here in the recent past, we've spent now in the last wee while over a week kind of ranging in this zone where it's been broadening out to an extent, and that's not so great. I'm going to come back to talk about that aspect of things in just a second. 2 weeks we spent going sideways just there as well beforehand, so we've had a little bit of this in terms of our recent past and how we understand things. Now if this is to be broadening, and it does look that way, what it sets you up for is of course the potential for a diamond pattern in here, and I'm just drawing this in fairly crudely, but you get the idea nevertheless, that there's a potential for a diamond in around this zone. Now if this was to be the case just here, and you were to pop out of this early, then it represents in some senses front running other patterns, and you wouldn't necessarily get the most amazing thing off of the back of it or whatever, but we have got a fairly good move up here, and that would take you up towards the 310 zone, 313s, and push you past the point of our $3 resistance. Now if you were to zoom this up a wee bit more towards the 2-day, it does lose a good deal of that positivity, but it allows you to stretch up a whole load and say, whoa, maybe we're going up as high as the high 370s. It's a bit early to be looking towards that. There's plenty of things to be done in the way, so let's not really overall. What we can say though is we have currently achieved the move here of our wedge. We've achieved that. We've come back down and more or less retested the zone as well of the wedge, and things have been doing what they need to do from a healthy aspect towards being able to come up here and ask questions about breaking these highs. Now if we were to break these highs, etc., that would then catch up with what we're seeing here in terms of the link price action. Now could it do that? It is possible. I'm not going to say that that's going to be the Rudolph leading the way at the minute for us with its nose so bright. Instead we're just going to we're going to respect the sovereignty of this coin and ask it to do the things that we're asking it to do in the meantime, and that boils down to, well, everything that we talked about there. That's what we're looking for. Excellent. So there we have it, and on my screen it says I'm 47 minutes into the video, so that's pretty good, and I'm pretty pleased to say that we've more or less covered everything I wanted to cover. So now it's time where I get to see what the folk are saying in the chat room for a second. Hope everybody's doing really well out there. Really well out there, everybody. Scrolling back up the way, what have we got on the go? Let me see. Nice one. Hello TradeSpot, your channel is unreal, my friend. That's cool. Sweet. So that's all sweet between those two. I recommend that people check out the TradeSpot channel as well. Feel free to share a link to your channel in the chat there, TradeSpot. I would do it myself, but it's too many buttons to be clicking at the minute. Don't have my YouTube thing open, and it's going to be hassle. Sorry, but you can feel free to do that. I'm happy to see that. I believe there's a link to it in my description. Usually is as well. Anyway, scrolling on down the way. Did wear my Canada hoodie today, actually. That's cool. Chatting amongst Scotland and Canada with that ancient connection that we have together. So all the bulls saying link $450 if only. Okay, I see a comment in there. That was just before I answered the Twin Peak pattern one. by the way, so that's cool. It's nice. I've got a few decent clips in here. We're 50 minutes into this video, and I could probably make a few nice edited clips for folk. If you're watching along, I would appreciate it if you were to hit that like button. Let me know what it is do there. Let me know who you are, and I'll give you a shout out in the channel. Good to see Jake Feezy has subscribed as well. Is that a new one? That's a day ago. There's a few different ones. I could just play these so that we can give a thank you to all the recent subscribers. Just say thanks to Jake Feezy. Just say thanks to Imran Khan. Is it gonna come up? Maybe it's not gonna. I can hit the button and make more of my rocky faces drop into the tip jar. That's cool. And hello to Hidden Agenda as well, who recently subscribed to the channel. Let me just hit that button, make that show up as well, so that these people get a nice there we go, all those rocky faces in there. You can be one of them as well, and I'll give you a shout out if you like, if you're just joining us. Anyway, yeah, cool. Nice to see you, gank. Oops, I hit that button way too many times. Well, hope you all enjoy that noise. After the adrenaline rush to which I was feeling on top of the world, I was like, that was stupid, really stupid. Wait a minute, let me see what we've got here. A bit something exciting to read. Whoa, stop that. Stop making those noises now. I hit that button way too many times. I'm in it for the long haul, but I did execute my first short today. I didn't go for broke. I didn't go for broke either. You know, stop it. Jeez. Well, I do apologize. Clearly hitting that again and again and again is a bad thing to do. This is a nice one to see. So Artie Pile, you had your first short today. Well, that's nothing unusual in the sense that the market does, you know, most participants in the market like to go long, and that makes a lot of sense. Wonder if what you were taking advantage of at all looked anything like this here. That'd be nice to see if it was. Let me just see what you said. Not going to lie, K-Doc, I was nervous. Yeah. It is more or less the same sort of style. Twin Peaks, you meant the TV series. Oh, well, after all that time. Well, so pays to read the chat, eh, Jacob? Pays to read the chat. Yeah, so, yeah, a lot of people are nervous when they do it. You can sit there and go, it's just the same, it's just the same, it's just the same. You'll feel a lot more liberated, I'm sure, having tried that now. I'm sure. And after the adrenaline rush to which I was feeling on top of the world, I was like, that was stupid, really stupid, never do that again. That's funny. It's kind of like you're describing it. It sounds similar to the experience that somebody would probably have if they were like, I don't know, stealing a car or something like that. It was crazy. You know, you're not doing anything wrong, and it's not stupid necessarily to do it. Just remember to manage your risk. And of course, you know, we've been experiencing a bull market for a long time, so there isn't any sort of just hold on to the position, hope for the best type of thing. You have to be, of course, aware that of, you know, what you're looking for, and this move, you know, this move between the 40k region and the 34k region of that $6,000 was absolutely, you know, ripe for shorting, and well done to everybody that took that move. It's definitely is what in many senses what you should have / could have been doing. Likewise to folk then that are trading this at the minute, easy to manage your risk. You know, it's easy to do it. This is the way you should be trading. Trading within the range, of course, is preferable most of the time compared to breakout trading in terms of what risk to reward you stand and how you can manage it. Now, of course, as well, TradeSpot's got a lot to say about that. Got making a video similar to that, I think, at the minute. So, you know, there's plenty to be said about that sort of stuff. Anyway, here we are, and right now, of course, if you had got in somewhere around about where you would have thought that would be at the lower end of this, you know, you're up 3% and a bit, and you could easily have a stop loss and profit, and tune in for the Rocky Outcrop show and let your hair down. I realise now as I look at the stream thing that the price ticker kind of covers up some of the volume. So at some point, if I was saying something about the volume profile or what we're seeing on the volume here behind this thingy wasn't actually sort of making sense, then I apologise for that. But still, I suppose I could kind of rectify it real quick. Here's your Ethereum US. Nah, it's all good. It's all good. It's all totally good. It's all totally good. I use spot most of the time. That's cool. That keeps you from feeling too scared. It's hard to do shorts when you're using spot though, obviously, but you can kind of conceptually sort of think about it if you think about it from the point of view of taking profit on your position is the equivalent of shorting. After the adrenaline rush, yeah, cool, nice one, read that stuff. AF Karimi, good to see you, buddy. Rocky, why December 28 low, January 4th low, January 11th low when drawing the trend line? See your Discord, BTC, and ETH channel on what I am saying. Why those? I wonder. And I wonder. Let's check it out. Where is your particular comment, AF Karimi? And what one is it in reference to? Is it towards this here? What's that? I can't see the dates on this. You're doing a good job to know what that open original. No, you can't see the dates on that either. I'll have to ask you to give me a wee bit more detail. But anyway, why December 28th low, January 4th low, January 11th low when drawing the trend line? I wonder. Let's go take a look and see what they are. So, is this maybe from something old or what? I wonder. Is this on this year? So that's January. That's December the 10th. Let me see. Why December 28th low, January 4th low? Do I have January the 4th on here? Not there. Oh, is this on the? No, it's not on this thing. Wondering. Anyway, right, cool. Just going to read on for a second. I'm sure if I did choose lows, it's because they were really great lows. I'm sure there's good reason for it. I'm sure I could find what you're talking about too if I was to be kind of more in tune with what you're saying. Link is good, but Kava is matching it and the percentage gains might be better. Interesting stuff. I wonder what that looks like. Let's look at the old Kava chameleon. It comes and goes. It comes and goes. Look it up this way. Kava. I've just heard a bidum, so I guess that means that I've got an answer coming for me in the Discord. Hello Taka. It's the last chart. So it's this chart you're talking about here. Yeah, exactly. So why these lows? I mean, what are you actually asking? Sorry. Where does it say it? Rocky, why December 28th low, January 4th low, and January 11th low when drawing the trend line? See your Discord BC channel and what I'm saying. Well, yeah, but what are you saying though? Why them? Why them? Why? What you're asking? Why did it hit these particular lows at those particular times, etc. Off the top of my head, it's hard to remember the exact reasons, but we could go and kind of look at it posthumously. Let's just give me a minute or two here on this one, just real quick. First and see that 4 hour. No, look at it on 24 hour instead, and could be the start of something nice here. Where could we be looking at? Oh, big long way to go in terms of being away from its highs. Rough ideas, if we do start trending past that, we could be looking up at sort of 100% gains. See, that's the thing as well. I suppose it's that general rule that lower price things have the potential to go higher in lots of ways than big ones. But what was it that, yeah, so let's just have a look. It's an interesting one. Another sort of volume thing that's interesting, but it's not really cup with handle. See, another aspect of a cup with handle is you need to have had it's a continuation pattern. Cup with handle needs to be like this, and it's this section here that's the cup with handle, for instance. Anyhow, it comes and goes. Kava chameleon. I wanted to go back to Bitcoin. See, I'm getting more chat in here. Is this Taka getting on live? So why aren't you using these lows instead? Or is it why here, Rocky Crop? Why aren't you using these lows instead? Why am I not using those lows instead to look at this? Oh, because that's a different time frame, buddy. That's the main thing. I mean, you're looking. Oh wait, you're in the 4 hour. Or you're looking back the way. Right. Right. Sorry, I get your question. So let's just jump on over and have a chat about it. Cool. So yeah, Karimi's asking what he's asking here, ladies and gents, is when I've drawn this. I've drawn this redundant downward arrow here for accidents. Bring me back up again. Right. So when I've drawn this triangle in here, why have I used those lows rather than the other lows that he suggested, for instance? And really, I'm actually just trying to make a point for the benefit of the live stream. If it jump, it's not on this, even on this 24-hour time frame. On the 4-hour time frame, it is here and visible, and it is this is, you know, just wanting to make this point between this triangle structure here that we could be in. For the purposes of the show, because I'm trying to talk about this, the latest price action and what we're looking at right now, and everything else, like why we're looking at that right now, because we do this analysis all the time, every day, or well, at the minute it's every other day, whatever. We do it all the time, and it's a question of updating where we came from. So I kind of introduced this at the start and said, and you can go back and watch the Bitcoin section of the video again and all the rest of it if you like as well, just to kind of, I hope my point came across, that what I was trying to do was say that we had a section of price action back in the past that we had already analyzed in one way up to sort of that point there, right? When the charts looked like this, we're talking about it on a number of different time frames, saying, like, you know, down here on the 1 hour and whatever, for instance, this could be an ascending triangle, right? And then but if it breaks out now, then potentially it's front running the price action. It's front running what you'd expect to see. Sorry, so we've drawn in something along these sorts of lines here. It could have been good enough. It could have been good enough. The front running aspect of it really doesn't matter. I mean, if you just draw it in like this, that's fine, and it's got in there far enough and whatever else to do the measured move, and it moved outside of this triangle up towards the top side. And when it did move out the way, where's my next phase button? So when it moved up to here, what we saw is that it started to look like a wedge. Okay, so this was the evolution of the price action. I was explaining it to people. You know, this is what we were looking at before we drawn on anything else. Okay, just this ghosted white background part. Okay, that's what we're looking at. Then we were saying, well, this is towards the top side. Where's a likely place for this to find resistance at? And drawn in, and I was saying, well, you know, you can draw in. You could have drawn in from the top here. The idea that if we saw this break towards the downside, maybe we'd be consolidating, and maybe this section of price action, including the last little bit, would start to look like a symmetrical triangle. Okay, and if that were to work, along what sorts of lines would you expect to see it happen? So you could have speculatively drawn it in like that. Okay, and then you would have gone on to the next bit and seen, well, okay, so we came up towards the top side. Maybe that was a bit shallow actually where I drew it in, but you came towards the top side here, and then what did we find was that the prices got resisted here and then dropped down the way again, just coming in here and kind of confirming that this was the case. And then it's like, well, if they go towards the downside, just even disregarding the measured move off the back of the wedge, how would that work? What would that look like? And we could do the same function here, drawing a line between these two lows and going up the way and speculating at what point then they would the price action come in here to confirm this as being like a symmetrical triangle right now. And it turned out that it was in at around about the 382 over here. So then if we just hit the button, blah 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 blah, we see that that's what happened at the 382. And that's why those lows, because it's the narrative that I'm presenting as part of, you know, presenting this show to people, that I need to come up with not only the current live, valid, genuine, authentic, real me, exactly what I'm looking at in the real world on my own charts, technical analysis, but also a relevant narrative, an educational story that means that your knowledge that you already have in the market gets transformed into something better, because that's one of the core value propositions that I have in the show. But it doesn't, and then afterwards you understand something in a far deeper way, and hopefully will remember it better, and you will be able to use those lessons yourself when you go to do the charting in the future. and rely on yourself as a trader, and my core number one mission will be fulfilled. So what is the mission statement of the Rocky Outcrop channel? It's to help all of you become self-reliant, independent traders who are able to execute consistently and profitably in the markets in a way that allows you to iteratively improve. What's my number two goal on the mission statement is to provide real value that actually leads towards goal number one being achieved, and that's why it's those lows. Okay, now I could have gone for other reasons, I could have gone for other things, but I'm trying to deliver real value here in a way that works, and and that's why. Anyway, cool. I hope that's a good explanation. Scrolling on down to catch up with the latest chat here. Chain, I see that TradeSpawn did drop in a link to his channel. That's quite cool. Excellent. Everybody check it out. Rocky gave us a shout out. We're made the big time. Yay. Danny Morgan, good to have you here. Yo, Chainlink is giving me a big erection, he says. Well, congratulations. I'm super happy for you. Upz says, Lul, good to have you here, friend. Nice to see the aubergines get out the eggplant plants and have anything. And that's great. All looking very sensible, peeps. What, no cheese? Did it all get scoffed before I made it back? No, there is cheese here. I just haven't been talking about it as yet. But now that we're coming into the end of the channel, end of the show, here it is. Now, I haven't gone for the full name the episode about cheese, put it in the thumbnail and everything else, but I am not neglecting you. I have this hard Italian cheese here specifically to talk about on the show. It's from the same brand, Venmondo, vegan Italian style cheese they're calling it this time, and it says, I'm perfect on pasta made from coconut oil, and I had it on pasta earlier on myself, and I did enjoy it. It hasn't got as strong a flavour as some of the other fakey Parmigiano cheeses. When you take it out of the packet, it's got a nice irregularity to the flakes. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to show you this. Where it's not all just one way. It looks like it has indeed been grated. In terms of the taste of the thing, it has a musty sort of Parmesan taste to it, but not full on, not strong enough, and it's more like, I suppose, the real deal in that sense. You might have seen when I was talking about the Parmesan cheese in the previous episode that that there's some fake ones which are better than the real thing, because it gives you that what you're looking for when you put it on your pasta better than the real thing does. It's nice. I think maybe it could be better though if they were to sort of go the extra step with their flavor, but it's really good in it, and I think it become versatile, could be used on plenty of different things as well, just to give it a little bit of a nicey spicy, such as chicken. You could put it with some chicken. Again, it would work well with that. So so there is some cheese. What else we got? Oh, hey, Mexican Kitchen, it's good to have you here. Thanks. Hola amigo, good to see you again. Polka Starter got a few projects start being launched next month. Parachains like Chain X, says Michael John Scott. Interesting stuff. Still, double money is great, says K-Doc. So it's doubling your money is always good, right? I wish it was double, says Navanethan. Lamau, well, okay, fair enough. Mexican Kitchen says, just read Mt. Gox returned 90% of the Bitcoin held since years is on a local crypto site. Anyone confirms on international news? I've not been looking into it. The last time I asked about it, I was told it had been delayed and I hadn't looked into it myself. Interesting stuff if that's the case. If that is the case indeed. I'm on my phone watching today. The wife has Bridgerton on the TV. Oh, I'm sorry, Maria. I should have made cheese the sole focus of the show. Maybe she would have been tempted to catch her one on catch up. Kevin saying, I 3.5x'd my DOT investment and I'm getting 13% APY on the staking. Isn't that just wonderful? Polkadot really, we talked about it on the show the other day, right? I mean, we talked about it, and that was cool. Scott Walker, take a look at XTZ versus BTC. Yeah, we will. Okay, that's cool. I'll take a look at that, and also take a look at XLM. Somebody asked me to in a comment, and I thought, well, why not? Yeah, we talked about that the other day. It's been a really good one. It's been great. It's been much better than other things which try to be the same sort of, do the same sort of thing, much less amateurish project, and more worthy of the attention and all of that sort of stuff. I wonder if it complies nicely with the technical analysis we did back in the day on the channel for it. I have no doubt in my mind that it does 100%, so I'm pretty confident on that front. DOT is a great project. Fundamentals good, but I'm more bullish on KSM. I have a feeling it will go up quite a bit over the next 12 months and get redenominated. Oh, cool. Just the Polkadot story all over again. Where are you staking DOT? Mine is on Kraken, says Michael John Stott. So that's a conversation going on between him and Kevin, which is KKing1367 for everybody who doesn't know. By the way, if you are just joining me, it would be great if you hit that like button, and of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, then you're crazy. Get that subscribe button. Sorry, my humor is terrible. Let me just see. What was your humor said? Grated knob cheese, right? And then it was grated knob cheese. Then he corrected his spelling and said knob. Then he says, sorry, my humor is terrible. There's the dramatic story of Danny Morgan. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's Italian style though, so there you go. It's Italian. Yeah, look, I'm not going to keep reading that little conversation there because it's nice to see you having it, but you can keep having it there as I jump on over to the XTZ BTC chart, because it has been a while since we've looked at it. And I've been encouraging people to get in touch if they want to talk about it. Bum 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 bum. Big BTC plus up down. It's one of those had to be there moments with that one. So let's just take a look at this thing then, shall we? So if you've been wanting to see this sort of thing, then all you needed to do at any point was ask. The same applies towards Ethereum and Chainlink if you want to see their Bitcoin pairings, or if you want to see the Bitcoin Ethereum pairing, if you want to be all Vitalik about things. Here we are taking a look at the chart. This is the 1 hour. You can see we're ranging between these two areas. So the story is like a story that tells itself. You know, here on the screen, a picture says 1,000 words. 999 of them are kind of about the range here because of the two horizontal lines. But there's more important to mention, I suppose, when you're looking at this. If you did explore that full depth of that range here by dropping back down towards this low, for example, that would obviously be taken out at this point over here. And I suspect if we got towards the higher time frames, we'll see that they are indeed shown still as lows as opposed to, you know, flux along the way, and that's very much the case. And if I jump up towards the 12-hour time frame, you can see that these two arrows pointing in again, just showing us the same deal. Now it's only marginal here, but and we can see that it's just wicks that, you know, facilitated that lower line, but it's worth bearing in mind. Now when we go up towards the 24-hour time frame, you can see that this is actually turned around, and at this stage you can see if you had this as a low and this as a low, and then anything in and around about these areas as a low. Now there is a wick down here already, so you've got that kind of fulfilled. Although you could be looking back down towards this 612 area. This is the Tezos versus Bitcoin pairing, by the way, for anybody who doesn't know. But you could also be looking at this and saying maybe we have a sort of neckline here. There we go. That's the Twin Peaks television drama that I'm so fond of. Now, if that was to be a sort of neckline in and around about that area, or indeed you were not talking about it like that, what else could you be talking about with regards to this, you know, what else is that like? I suppose you've got the diamond bottom style thing. Diamonds are kind of 50-50 a sense, I suppose, ish, kind of in their pattern. Not really, that's not really a very good one, really overall. Instead, you could be looking at various various things like whether or not we're in a sort of triangle, as demonstrated more clearly by the lower term time frames, where this is a greater distinction between these lows in terms of a trend towards top side. While this was all going on, you got this coming in without convergence on the time frame. You see the RSI going towards the top side as the price is going towards the low side, giving you this sort of increased sort of hidden bullish divergence along the way here, if you want to look at that area just there versus this area just here. So there's another part of your story, and it's a gosh darn good story, so it is overall as well. Now if we do push on past this point here, what else do we have? Well, you've got the ideas along the lines of what Tony was talking about before, with the potential for sort of W-esque movements. Now that's not really what he would be looking at right here necessarily, but there's this type of idea, pardon me, on the go, and it's all just boiling down to whether or not we get past this zone on the way up towards what we were looking at before, which is of course up there at 790, and that's the 236. Now taking out the 236 becomes one of these most ridiculously glorious moments for a coin, where you've had a ridiculously down trend, which would then of course eventually have perhaps taken out a significant 236 there, offering up the opportunity. When there's a 70% chance of retracement, as we saw in the past, it did retrace once, twice, 2.5 times. Currently we're asking, is this the third time? Is that going to be the winner for us or not? Now if it isn't now, then maybe later, so long as we don't take out our previous lows. But if we do ron that, we could be looking up towards moves up above, and each one of these at this stage becomes 20%, then a 30%, and then a 50% move towards the top side in terms of stretching past all of this. And all that really does is take you into an area where, if we jump back up again on the bigger time frames, doesn't actually destroy the market structure, because we're only really looking up as high as things like going as high as 13,000 satoshis. Bearing in mind that we're down here at 6,000 or 7,000 or whatever, and you're looking at doubling the sort of the price of your thing all the way up here before you're even taking out market structure, with this wonderful downward trend that we've had on the go. Wonderful if you've been shorting it versus Bitcoin, but not so much if you've been eating dirt, which I suspect a lot of the market has been doing. And fair enough, okay, so this is so there's your pain, where your gains. And if I just flip the chart over, then this is the sort of thing that you would want to see in around about a high, potentially, for if we were to get a turnaround. A couple of key distinctions here, that you want to point out. This would be your overall high. This is of course your highest volume that you've had, giving you that potential idea of sort of stopping volume. There is this kind of downward movement here, going along with our nice Italian flag looking style price action within a potential for a measured move that gives you the potential to go past significant areas here and come down the way, and potentially getting a nice big solid retrace before potentially continuing that upward trend that it was looking at, or indeed asking real questions about whether or not it breaks. And from a trading point of view, all of this jazz in between is offering up really fantastic opportunities. Now of course you're going to have to manage your risk along the way and not get too crazy. There's clear fake out zones to the above and downside on this one, but there's potential for the good story to play out. Flipping it back the way then, so you can see this of course is that downward trend where we don't have higher lows on the go. I mean, actually, let's just do this from a bullish point of view. This has been an upward trend where we haven't had the structure really be broken overall. And if I just can make the comparison, jumping over towards Bitcoin and leaving it be on its thing, if we were to see continued movements towards the top side for Bitcoin, as we can see here, where it potentially has a consolidation pattern that could potentially lead on to higher all-time highs, then you could expect overall for this to fail, which means that you need to go back to where the liquidity actually is on this thing and ask, can we move towards the top side? So if we did move towards the top side, busting out past these zones, it's nice to see that it's at 264 at the minute, but we need to see better than that. But if we were to go from this 264 area up towards a higher up zone, say towards the top end of that, of this let's just move the measured move over so I don't have to, this particular measured move taking us up towards the top end of that pitchfork here, then you're looking at the potential of a 30% move in the dollar pricing. So then going jumping back over towards Bitcoin and asking, well, how far up does this thing take us? This idea that we've had again, putting that up the way, looking at this, getting out the old ruler me bob, drawing it up towards the top side and saying, well, that's 25%. So if we were to see both happen at once, then perhaps, we start to see things move this way as well. And while it might not be a blast off towards the top, it could secure us this point here, the 236, and it would do a few things at once as well. It would give us a higher high at this point, and that would of course be combined with higher lows, giving you the overall potential to be changing your trend around towards the top side, or at least getting a significant pullback, which is really overall what the narrative of this episode has been so far with regards to the Bitcoin Tezos pairing. There we have it. That's what we're looking at with this one. That's the technical analysis. There's plenty of other things I could talk about if you would have liked me to, but really, even no matter how far down the time frames you go, it really is lined up with all these points that we've already discussed anyway on the larger time frame. So there's no need to worry. I've discussed it all to the nth degree. I'm sure I have. Let's just keep this chart up at the minute. These are previous targets. By the way, this is a 15-minute time frame, and of course what we can see is that this was a target in the past, this was a target in the past, and this was a target in the past. So just more to the point with AF Karimi's question that I had earlier on, why those particular lows? Well, as you can see, these are where the three prices came in at, and if I just jump over to the price action and say, like, look at the sort of thing that I said the other day in the Bitcoin Ethereum thread, just popping in to remind folk again that the levels are all the ones we spoke about on the way up, and if there is to be a turnaround and rising prices, it's the same. We're not in uncharted territory now. All the best. I should sleep. Been reading a book. I was up too late when I posted that one, but I still wanted everybody to be knowing what the deal was in scary territory time. And lo and behold, you bring up a chart which was actually drawn in back over here, and we're talking about the three areas, 1, 2, 3, and then we scroll over to the right. What do we see? 1, 2, and 3. So is it much of a coincidence? No, it's not. Have we talked about it? Yes, we have. Are there numerous reasons that would draw you towards using those three things to make a point about something? Yes, there are. More or less sort of encroaching on the sort of drop the mic territory. So we'll not go any more enthusiastic about stuff. We'll just come over to the chat here instead. Long 1000x pot. Says Navanethan. Nightbot giving everyone a reminder to follow me on Twitter, and you absolutely can. You can get in touch with me there, and let's go check in on Twitter, in fact, because no doubt you'll be wondering from the live stream the other day if our pal Kim.com actually got in touch with me. There's always a danger that I'll give away some sort. Nope, he hasn't got back to me, ladies and gents. Well, I can bring it up here. Kim.com. I'm a coder. I love crypto. Would love to help. And he didn't get back to me. And there was me calling him a trustworthy guy as well. Sorry, Twitter takes out the worst in you sometimes. Why open your mouth at all? Such drivel. I should have just kept my mouth shut, but there you go. Whoops. Sorry, random person who's speaking drivel on the internet. Whoopsie doopsie. Yeah, anyway, why am I looking at this crap? You can follow me on Twitter though if you want to, and you can see such things like me talking about how I'm at the seaside, reposting a picture of what Link looks like when staking actually, what society looks like when Link staking actually starts. Lol, good tweet by that person. And various other wonderful things along the way, and conversations and all this sort of stuff. Wouldn't it be cool to get a Theta key? I've been talking about wanting to get a Theta key. Let me just say, go over to theta.tv, and I want to get a Theta key. Theta. I can now make this a video, I suppose, and ask, how do I want to get my key? Get a key. How do I become a streamer? Jump over to become a streamer here. I want a key. I want a key. How do I get my stream key? T-Fuel or Theta? Because if I did live streams over there, it might be a good laugh. But I know that you have to go stream keys and get your stream keys. And how do I get stream keys? Stream key can be obtained through Theta partners, affiliates, admins, or events. So ongoing stream key event, stream key please. So what you do is you say, you copy that, and you go over to Twitter and you write a tweet and you say, I am currently doing a live stream asking, hopefully one day I will be on Theta doing it. Yeah, you got to do it. You got to talk like that, I suppose. Check it out. I am posting this request live. Oh, I forgot the keyboard. It must be the batteries. Come on, keyboard, come back to life. Yeah, live on stream. And I'll get a link to the stream, shall I? Did I have? Oh yeah, this is the thingamajig, and a link to the stream. How do I get a link to this stream again? Here we have it. So hope things don't go too mental here. Oh my god, we're gonna go inside ourselves. Better not watch it or the world will collapse. 20 likes, I'll hit my own like button. Yee, lol. And give me a bloody link to this thing. Great, okay, copy. Maybe some people will hit retweet on that or something. I don't know. Anyway, feel like could be a good place to do it at, just as well. If I can do them at the same time, it'd be why not, or whatever. I don't really know how it works. A drink for every theta, we'll all be drunk. Ooh. Cool. Excellent. Right. Anyway, jumping back over to the live scene. How are we doing, ladies and gents? I have pot stocks from a Cambridge company using it for Alzheimer's and ADAH. I had to read that as, ooh, I don't have enough ADAH in me to recognize that ADA is a condition. Yeah, there's a few of that sort of thing. There's a few of them. David Cameron has also got a lot of those stocks as well. There's a big company in Kent, I believe. I think it's in Kent because that sounds nicer than saying Essex most of the time. So I think there's a big company in Kent that grows it as well for the medicinal ones, for that THC oil and CBD oil and all the rest of it. And they're the only ones that are allowed to sell it to the NHS. It costs something like 500 times is what it costs off of the sort of out of a shop in Amsterdam type of thing. And it's yeah, exactly like I say. Big investor David Cameron's family, big investors in that one. So it's a good idea, you know. He's a really wealthy guy, so you should do what he does. I might be wrong about that. That's all allegedly. I don't know. Maybe he isn't. Maybe he knows nothing about them. MindMed very bullish in 2021. That psilocybin microdosing for antidepressant. Is that really a thing? Really, are people really into that? There's the microdosing. People talk about microdosing ketamine for that. I've seen people talking about trying to microdose MDMA with just negative effects. Yeah, and people are doing sort of microdosing hallucinogenics for those sorts of reasons. I don't know if it works or not. Certainly worth the research. These things shouldn't have gone so taboo back in the day off the back of a few rubbishy adverts and whatnot. In America, there's no point of that sort of thing, but there you go. It's just like prohibition. Everybody will get over it eventually. Where do you trade traditional stocks? Tradeswell Nav or Robinhood and Webull accounts. If you're in the US, then Robinhood's is a good choice for that, I believe, as well. Webull as well, I think, as well. MindMed is one of the best stock picks for 2021. Interesting stuff. MindMed. How do we look it up? I'm just going to go MindMed. So yeah, let me see, where's it being traded at? So it's being traded. Oh, right. Let's just look at that one. What have our highs been at previously? Up here. It's not that dissimilar. I mean, a lot of stock charts aren't that dissimilar to the crypto charts and whatnot. This is a tiny time frame, sorry. Look at that, it's been rising, hasn't it? Volume's been going up along with it. Big volume up there as well if it did want to turn around. You know, we talked about this when we were looking at the inverse. Is this the right way around, This is the Bitcoin chart. No, wait, the Bitcoin chart is the right way around. Cool, so that's the right way around as well. If I looked up on the left, I could have seen that easier. Yeah, what else are we looking at here? Whoa, okay. But we did it without the divergence, without divergence, without divergence. That's good. You know, consolidating here is fine at an area at support, giving our chance to oscillators to burn off. It's the type of chart that I could just stick on the 3-day, just to sort of narrow this out the way, and draw on a Fibonacci just so you get the most basic takeaway that you would want to have. Or if I could speak properly, I drew that in wrong. But yes, went down to 50% and back up above the 382 at the minute. You know, going past the 236 has been spoken about enough in terms of it's the component there being very important. There was a couple of things I thought I maybe would do. You know, there's this here that I'll do just for the crack here, just to, you know, when you're in a trend where bring up full screen. These are the Hikanashi candles, and they're different candles to your regular candles. They are based in part. Well, if I just take it to the regular ones, you can see that you get you know, candles like this big red candle here. But when you're talking about having not really taken out your previous lows and whatnot, then maybe this is part of the upward trend, etc., etc., and it changes it doesn't, you know, it changes your sort of your psychology in a sense. If you've been so used to looking at these candles in a way, it'll change the way that you're thinking about these sorts of pullbacks at certain times, you know, along the way. Until such times, of course, as you know, while these are obviously red here, you're looking as well. It's easier to look towards certain degrees of structure and ask questions about how we're performing. You know, if we take out certain lows, etc., how could things go if they don't turn around at that point? So they didn't turn around at this point, went down the way they did. Turn around. Well, I mean, they did turn around here after finding out failing to take its previous low out. Did take out its previous high, didn't take out its previous low, went up the way, and you know, just in terms of generally structurally trading along here, we just put in another low overall here. So we could, you know, be looking up the way and then afterwards say, we don't want to go down below these points again, and that would all be fine as well. On terms of the smaller time frames, so you can just see how this is kind of going. We're not actually managing to sustain anything really in terms of this, just consolidating, but this could obviously take off again. I thought actually I would show people what Bitcoin chart looks like at the minute with regards to this as well, just so you can see, you know, in terms of it points out the, you know, where the previous lows are, etc., etc., and where we've not managed to take out. A lot easier. I'd be talking about things and on the way and saying, could you really say this is a low, etc. Well, kind of, you know, it smooths that out for us quite a bit. As you can see here, this is our upward movements, and then Hikanashi. Well, actually, did I say that wrongly? No. It does. It makes it look far more bullish, I suppose, right, or whatever. Anyway, there we go. This is obviously as well Hikanashi combined now at this point with the TD sequential, just so people know the numbers. Like, you know, we're at a 1 here and a 5 there on the regular candles. Over here we're at a 5 and a 4, etc. It does in fact change the calculation for the TD sequential. That's a little tidbit for people if you are looking at them. Anyway, just that sort of thing. Anyway, AB Lopez, you gotta go. That's cool. Oh, you gotta go. You all be good. Yeah, you all be good as well, AB as well. Good to have you here. Nice to see you. I'm glad I got to say cheerio. Just if I missed you, then it's cool. I've said it. So here we are, an hour and a half into the stream. I think I'll probably wrap things up around about now. I'm going to leave it on the 50-minute time frame with the Hikadickles on here for us. Nice big screen. It's hard to see the actual individual candles. I appreciate that. This is just for the crack. Does the 3-day do anything special since it averages in the lower liquidity weekend? It doesn't do anything. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's beyond what you said, not really. But it's just another larger time frame, you know, and it gives you that smoothing effect here. you're talking about, as you can see, 24-hour time frame, because it's got those weekends, 3-day time frame. So you're like, as you say, but the 3-day time frame is something that you could use on the traditional chart as well. You've always got to think about the dynamic that exists there, but essentially it's the same sort of dealio when you're looking at the weekly time frame. Bear in mind that the CME charts obviously have got different dynamics there. The 3-day being this, because this obviously doesn't have the weekends anyway, you can see a very different structure here with this, and it seems much more, it's got its own use. And of course the averages of the weekends aren't in on this anyway, so there's what you talked about, and then of course it has its own sort of value in a traditional market anyway. I guess I was just using it because it fit more data on the screen and I could make my points easier. Hi guys, hi Zoner. You know what, Zoner? I'm going to be tuning out soon, by the way, but it's fantastic to have you here, and you'll be pleased to see that the episode, I'm completely done the Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink and Tezos technical analysis by an hour into the show. Everything's pretty concise. It's like 15 minutes a pop for the Bitcoin and Ethereum ones, 10 minutes for the following two, and then we've looked at Tezos versus Bitcoin. The same sort of chat we've had there could apply to other coins as well, I'm sure, at the minute, in terms of the structure, what we're looking at and how we're moving up the way. Here's a quick look, I suppose, just to kind of put that into context, what I just said there now with regards to the Chainlink price. And we talked about this recently enough as I put in this Fibonacci retracement down here. Talked about this liquidity zone. We've come up to it, we've pulled back from it, found the body here at this previous extension of support and resistance on the way down. We found that the wick came in here at our previous test and our previous bottoms. That's all working out like sort of eerily well in terms of that stuff there, which is normally fairly kind of random. That's fairly eerie. Anyway, if we're gonna go above this zone, that's going to be key for us. The next area towards the top side afterwards is the 236 coming in there at 0.00066. And this liquidity zone ranging between the sort of 56 up to 58 is going to be key in terms of, can we carry on the way? First off, we need to really secure 55 and move towards the top side thereafter. But like, this is the same sort of story, but a bit more advanced. Obviously, what with us having come up towards, there's dollar pair and all-time highs, and that's what you would need to see happening to kind of break this around the way. We need to see this. You need to see things like it getting into those sorts of zones for it to really turn it around. Turn around, Link coin. Gonna start performing against Bitcoin. Take out your previous lower high. Move towards the upward side. Support and resistance confirmations are popular on it, but it is crap for gauging strength of trend, in my opinion. Says TradeSpawn in response to chatting about the 3-day, is overrated in his opinion. And yeah, cool. The biggest benefit for me was that I got to fit more data onto the screen at the one time. Hey, ask TradeSpawn. Yes, this is he's always got he's got a lot of good, he's good at expressing opinions like that, and that's why he's got stuff out on his show, on his channel at the minute, for instance, where he's talking about his 5 favorite indicators, and you'll note that they're not the indicators that we use here. He's very much a man with his own opinions, and he's good at expressing them. It's good it provides a lot of contrast. Now that's a nice strong opinion to have there about a particular candle. That's totally fine to have it. As you see, I very rarely use it on the channel, but why am I on the 2-day at the minute? There's the 3-day. No, but why am I on them at the minute? I want to be on the 15 minutes, is my precious. Can we do it? Can we do it? Yes, we can. Right? Probably. Link weekly hidden bull divergence would be sick. Yeah, Zoner, you're right. Wouldn't it? I mean, looking at all-time highs again, back into that uncharted territory. By the way, quick thing, price discovery is something that's a term from economics. Everything is in price discovery mode all the time, forever. That's what everything is. Even just depends on what sort of time frame you look at it. Even the tin of beans in your supermarket, everything's in price discovery mode all the time. However, people like to sort of conflate that idea with all-time highs and say that it's price discovery mode, and that's all good, and I'm all for that as well. But just a little point of clarity for people. What's happening right now is price discovery. Everything's price discovery. But when you go into pure all-time highs and everything else, then you get that whole price discovery mode on the go. And really, we do need to see how that'll pan out. We do. Rocky, did you see the Barn Bridge pump when Coinbase announced the support and listing? No, you tell you what, all I saw was you talking about it yourself. That's what and it is. Can I get it up here? It's only talking about it being listed. This is for God's sake, keyboard. I clearly need to get some batteries here. If I type it in like this, is this going to come up? I don't know what it is. I didn't look up the chart myself. I saw you talking about it, and I was thinking, this is when you need to have some readies at the hand to take advantage. Oh, I don't have any, by the way. I missed out on that. Yes, that's right. But you were lamenting having not got some at the time with its 50% pump. Coinbase, it knows that it's going to be listing something as well. It would be nice if there was a way of readily identifying these sorts of opportunities in advance in the way that they themselves do, so that we could sort of ride on the back of those big whales, those big fishes. Anyone notice that on January the 8th, DOS has deal with Google Cloud to be the Oracle of choice for Google Cloud, or DOS, I don't know which one that is, has a deal with Google Cloud to be the Oracle of choice for Google Cloud. The Oracle of choice for Google Cloud? What the F? I thought Google owned significant amount of Link, and we're kind of, into that. DOS? USD. This is not widely traded. Oh, I mean, look at that. This is something that's only ever gone down. Is this what you're talking about? Let me know if this is what you're talking about. By the way, James, no, I'm singing. I'm singing. Sorry. If your question there is what I think your question is, it's Bonnie Tyler, Total Eclipse of the Heart. If not, well then, cool. Link final boss battle at $20 is epic. Popcorn. Yeah, big time. It is. Is it having its final boss battle at the minute? Right now, 1987. Pachoo! Right on that red. Pachow. Can it close above it? Can it not? Can't it? Double clicking there doesn't collapse that menu, but collapsing that menu collapses that menu. Handy. 2-day time frame, we're looking good for getting a close above it. By the way, you might be wondering what this addition to my prices here on the right is, and I don't know if it's a feature on all charts or not, on all account levels of TradingView. But over here on the right, you'll see average. So what I can do is I can go over to the 1 hour time frame, and the average price on the screen at this given moment in time is 16.45. Can scroll out, shows me what the average price is out of all of this. Scroll out, shows me what the average price is out of all of this. It's just a handy way of having one of these like the VPVR, the VWAP, or any of these sorts of concepts. That sort of concept, where you can see on screen what your average is. Thought that was kind of something that's worth pointing out to people. I try not to have it on the screen because it takes up too much crap, but you can space. But you can have an average price label there if you want to have one. Little tip for people in terms of using the old TradingView, jumping down towards the 15-minute time frame and stretching this out a bit and kind of looking at this and saying, well, what's the average price been during this period of time? It's actually, down there, just sub the 236. The fact that we're staying above the 236, therefore, at this moment in time, is actually like eyes on the prize. That'll do for now. If we look over, a bit more and just take that previous little bit out, really what the next eyes on the next prize is going to be, where they're staying above this line here. That's it structurally, and everything else, that's a good area to be above. And then zooming in terms of like, what about just during this flux here, where is that average price line? Well, it's right on that red line, so we're doing okay again. You know, it's not the most amazingly useful thing in the world, but it certainly gives you a good idea about what the average price is. Cool, Rocky, like it. Can't get your bits and bobs in Discord. Can't get your bits and bobs. Your bits and bobs. Yes, DOS Oracle. Interesting. That's interesting. That they would do that, isn't it? That they would invest in another one. Really wonder. Using the average true value, the VWAP, and that'll do donkey channel is a well handy wee confluence to look for when setting up a stop. Top tip. Top tip from TradeSpot. Excellent, nice one. Any take on SPX and BTC correlations? Oh yeah, it was yourself that was saying that in comments and stuff like that. Seems uncanny as of late. Holding on. You know, it's not just of late, to be fair. I mean, it's pretty much of always. I've explained this in the past before, several times actually, to be honest with you. And it kind of, a lot of it boils down to the fact that this is considered to be risk on. Whoop, yeah, wow. That's my risk on graffiti. And people like to talk about Bitcoin as being a hedge, just in general, or a safe haven, That's what people like to talk about, because it ignores the fact that Bitcoin is actually risk on as well, as a risk on thing as well as it is, right? That's the general understanding of it. Look at this. I mean, in terms of like the in terms of like this idea at the minute, that it's a head and shoulders type idea. What time frame is this that I've got it on? The 5 minute. Let me just drag this up a bit to something a bit more reasonable. Well, that doesn't work, but yeah, there's just they've been correlated for mostly been correlated forever, with phases where they're more correlated than others. And you're right. This doesn't look too dissimilar in many ways at certain times. What other ones have we got though to just kind of make some points? You can see there's a massive correlation between them. Dixie, in terms of its inverse, you know, so like its correlation to Bitcoin becomes more apparent when you kind of invert it, as you can see over here. And we had this big head and shoulders in August and September, dropped down, didn't take out our structural lows, moved towards the top side, didn't take out our structural lows. Now this is of course the inverted chart, so this is exactly that's what that actually looks like. But if you look at Bitcoin, that's what you're seeing. So there's that big correlation as well, which is no surprise given that Bitcoin's priced against the dollar. But you know, there's that. There's various different correlations. Now, like these are a bit more. I mean, look at how. I'm not going to make any predictions about traditional markets right now on the show. Wonder what this needs to stay above though, just from a sort of general point of view. Roughly speaking, we need to stay above those areas. That's the same as Bitcoin, you know. It's the same. It's just the same. It's all the same. The markets are the same. When that happens, it's a little bit suspicious. That's quite parabolic at that point. Sure it is. This dumps at this point, so that's different. That's XRP. Fucking UK. Check out the UK. God save our gracious crap market. We have just been crap for years. This is a crap market for years. This has been a crap market for so goddamn long. Why do we have such a shit economy? Surely it's nothing to do with decades of austerity from the Tory party. Surely that's not anything to do with it at all, in the face of printing money types of economies which have almost exclusively grown, making peoples much more wealthy, while Britain has been shit. Nah. Tether is the only safe haven. Wait, what? Particularly June to this month it seemed more correlated, both at tipping points. Okay. I've still got the Hikanashi Candles. I was wondering why I didn't really recognize anything. God, the TD sequential really does mess up your chart as well with the numbers when you're zoomed out. The volume on this thing, it's the same all the time, and then it wasn't. That's funny. Boom. Okay. New reality. Transfer of wealth or legit pandemic? I wonder. Fucking best song ever. Relevant. Thanks, by the way. Appreciate the brief look. Nothing major. Yeah, no, it's good. It's always worth to keep an eye out on all these sorts of things. I do mention them from time to time on the channel, but really it doesn't get much traction with the majority of the audience. Another thing that I'd like to look at as well, just so that you can know about these things, is Forex. You know, I've got a whole favorites list of Forex over here. And I would like to look at things like the Japanese yen. Here we have, like, you know, what's going on with the USD JPY right now. At any point we're waiting for a potential for a measured move out of this thing. You know, it doesn't really take anything to the point where you're breaking structure overall, but it could be like really significant when you look back at our previous lows. If I just from a horizontal trend line point of view, with PA in there, you know, just for instance, and that's significant for us. This is currently where we stand with this thing. So as you can see, I look at other things as well, and yeah, I wouldn't. Well, I mean, like, while this is not, you know, going to be sort of visually correlated in the same way that you're talking about there, it has a massive correlation with these. I mean, it does. I mean, this is the same sort of thing. It's no coincidence that you've seen the 5th of March over here. Then the highs came in at the 23rd of March. You know, the most extreme lows coming in here. You know, recently. And that's an inverse correlation with the Bitcoin chart right now, which looks a lot more like this sort of a thing. That's the US. The US dollar. Back in the USD. Whoa. Back in the USD. Whoa. Anyhow, I think it's time for me to start to say cheerio to folkies, okay? I think a little both, Michael John Scott. I would like that easy to see cheat sheet. Fishing a how to trade breakouts. Finishing a how to trade breakouts. Then got a larger video on the geopolitics of BTC and another on price elasticity in crypto first, says TradeSpotting. Fantastic. Yes, the price elasticity. Finally, yes, I've been wanting that video. We talked about this for the first time, you know, just well, I don't know, years ago, whatever. We talk about this. We talk about the elasticity in the markets. I talk about it on the channel from time to time. It's a concept people don't really understand much about. It's something that people would benefit from knowing about, just to know. Those who must be obeyed, red chilies selling out the US. Red childs. Those who must be obeyed, red childs selling out the US. I think there's a reference here. It's really obvious that I'm missing, which is giving me like that idea that I really need to tune out, you know, because my brain's not functioning properly at the minute. Then obviously, Scoot Walker, are you subscribed? Are you subscribed? Because I'm not sure I recognize your name, but man, it's good to have you here. And if you want to hit that like button and all the rest of it and subscribe, then you will always be welcome back. I really do appreciate it. MGS, you nailed it, bud. All right, okay, so obviously my brain ain't working. Things are going to shit when they let the air out of this bubble. Right, cool, yeah, great, okay. It's probably very clear if I just read a few comments that I obviously missed there, and that back up the way. Thanks, Rocky. Another great video. Everyone have a great weekend. Thanks so much, Kevin. Really do appreciate it. I really do. I try my little cotton socks off with these videos. This one's an hour and 53 minutes. That's 2 hours. Thanks, by the way, Zona. Really appreciate the like button. Hey, Rocky. Zona hit like. I saw you. I saw that. Yeah, so that's fantastic. You know, as it is, I do really feel like this is another good video where we've talked about a lot of good stuff. I hope it helps with people. I tried to keep it fairly simple, but I built up the complexity across the way. So the TA kind of gets shorter for each bit. So Bitcoin, then shorter on Ethereum, then shorter on Chainlink, then shorter on Tezos. But effectively, it becomes, you know, it's only shorter because your understanding hopefully is increased, and hopefully that is something that works along the way and helps everybody. So yeah. Everybody, never be afraid to ask me a question and answer anything as well. There's a lot of things which I think are worth explaining. You know, for instance, I'm just after saying elasticity there, so I'm not going to explain what I was talking about just there now, but it'd be totally fair if anybody in the audience were to say, what are you talking about, Rocky? I don't know what you mean by elasticity. I would absolutely answer that question if it wasn't for the fact that, you know, it's a planned video by my friend here and everything else, and it's the end of the stream and all this sort of stuff. So, you know, all that, you know, never let it slip by, an opportunity to slip by to talk to me about something, because I appreciate the chance to have a talking point. When Tony was on the show the other day, he was explaining a whole bunch of stuff which is the sort of thing which I often overlook, you know, and forget to explain or whatever, just take for granted and stuff like that. So always try to help me help the community in the best way possible, so that everybody gets the access to knowledge, because this knowledge is liberating, I'm sure. So anyway, I hope you have a really fantastic weekend, everybody. I may be back to do another video over the weekend like I did last weekend, because I did enjoy the experience, haha, but who knows, because I have done this week. Okay, thank you so much to everybody for tuning in. Let me just give a reverse roll call. Keep your chat going, because at the end of this stream I will be putting up credits. Now the credits won't have anybody to mention in them, but but there you go. Nevertheless, I'll roll the credits at the end of the stream anyway. But I'm going to do my own sort of manual little look through the chat here as we scroll down the way, and that. So Artie Pyle, thank you so much for tuning in. K-Doc, thank you as well. Navanethan, Sivab, I'm going to go over another shot. Navanethan, Sivabalavik, yes. Thank you so much for tuning in. Love you very much, my friends. And then Gank L, the name which is, you know, which I find so intriguing, your name, Gank L. Anyway, AF Karimi, we had a nice chat there earlier on. I kind of explained quite a lot about the importance of these areas on the chart here, and as well I took a look at this other chart to explain, you know, historically why this is important, and, you know, everything else, and kind of justified it by looking back when I talked about it in advance. It isn't just me, you know, making a story up as we go along. K-Doc, again, yes, thank you so much, by the way, for tuning in. TradeSpotting, as ever, thank you so much for having been the man with the spanner here today, and keeping everybody in check, keeping them all in line, whipping asses which needed whipped, and so forth. Of course, there wasn't a single instance of that, as the whole community is really wonderful. Thank you, Danny Morgan, for tuning in as well. Op8Z, Opaz, whatever, can't don't know how to say your name, it's got a number in it after all. Cheers for tuning in as well, my buddy. Have you subscribed? If not, then yeah, subscribe. Yeah, subscribe, yeah. Michael John Scott, known as John to his friends, thank you so much for tuning in again today as well, my friend. It's cool to know that your name's Taka, by the way, in the Discord there, AF Karimi. And who else hasn't got a mention? Of course, the Mexican Kitchen, muchísimas gracias, amigo, for tuning in. So yeah, I really do appreciate it. I'll see you again next time. Muchísimas gracias para pasando un rato aquí con nosotros. Artie, again, another shout out for you because you're so good you get 2 of them. Hey, how about that? Scrolling on down the way, Kevin King as well, thank you so much. Zoner, of course, as well. Scoot Walker, thank you for tuning in, my friends. Really do appreciate it. Everybody gets a shout out that wants one. Of course, you don't have to. If you prefer not to have one, then that's cool. Gerard Puigdemont. Good to have you here, my friend. That's a fantastically interesting surname that you've got there. Second best surname on the show, perhaps. in the crowd there, second best. Let me see, who else have we had here that needs a shout? AB Lopez, woohoo! Good to have you here as ever, my friend. I know you tuned out earlier on, but I'll give you. I'll say cheers to your spirit anyway, nevertheless. Marcin Albekier, I don't know how to say it with the Polish accent, but I really do appreciate you tuning in as well, my friend from Poland. Sometime we'll take a look at the zloty on the show, maybe as well, see how that performs versus the euro at some point. There are interesting things happening with the euro zloty pair. What's the... oh god, as you can see, my keyboard's just decided to turn into a pirate. It says. I'll close that. Oh, it keeps going. Stop it, keyboard. Come on, stop it now. Stop it now, keyboard. Okay, stop it now, keyboard. Okay, off, please. Off then. If that's what you're going to be like, just go away now, keyboard. Stop now. Relief. Okay. I think that's me done. Man. With the final mention for the Terex TV, I believe I've covered everybody that talked here on the show. Whoa, Sarah Crow, close. So close. Sarah, it's fantastic to have you here. Really, it is. Oh, and Dvorkas. Oh, brilliant. You just dropped in to smash the like button, eating Chinese food. Oh, wow. Jealous. Enjoy your food. Thank you so much for that. Wow, that's fantastic. And you know what, Sarah Crow, it's fantastic to have you here as well. Rocky, please watch this. What are you asking me to watch? It's fantastic to have a female name in here. There's so few in the world now. So few women in the world now. There's so few that are actively trading Bitcoin and stuff like that in the West. I think that we are needing more females in the community, the wider crypto trading community from the West, because the likes of Asian countries, when you talk to ladies from that end of the world, they know a hell of a lot more about everything that we get up to here than women over here. I don't know who's causing that problem, if it's women keeping women out, men keeping women out. I certainly am more than welcoming to everybody. Try to be anyway. Don't see it in the audience statistics. Here, look, I'm trying to find what it is that you wanted to watch, but I'm not sure what it is. I'm not seeing it there. Let's see. It says for Micah John. Yes, of course. Yes, my friend for Micah. Michael John Scott for Micah. It's smooth, cheap and smooth. Was that it? Can you please watch this? It's going to change everything. Rocket. Sarah, you know what? I would watch whatever it was that you're looking to watch, but but you're not telling us what to watch, Sarah. And that brings us towards the end of the show. Okie dokie. So I'm going to just jump over to the final scene here, and I'll try and hook it up with with cheap yet smooth, with that video, or what am I trying to say? I'm trying to hook up the charts in the background of the final scene as we jump over there, but it'll be my screen disappearing, my face disappearing off the screen, and the chit chat will still be going on in the old chit chat box in the top right whenever that comes back into being here. But just want to say thank you so much for everybody for tuning in. Being 2 hours and 1 minute, 2 hours and 2 minutes, fantastic stuff. I'll just click over to the final scene and let the credits roll so you can all see what they're all about. It's the first time I've rolled them on the channel, so I don't know what they'll actually look like, but hey, let's see. This is the final scene. Brilliant. The chart is there. Brilliant. And then I go full screen on the chart like that, and then hit full screen like this. Perfect. Then pull this over here. Perfect. Bring that down the way. It's not perfect actually. I would like to have the right axis. There we go. That's perfect enough, right? That's perfect enough. Maybe it needs to be down a bit so people can see the numbers. I don't know what's perfect anymore. My whole idea of what it is to be perfect is completely transformed. This is good enough. This is good enough. That's right, what I always say there. So yeah, as you can see, yes, you know, we've got the chat box still up there, so that's all good. Let's try running the credits and see how this goes. Credits, roll credits. Let's see, is this going to work? There we go, check it out. The credits. Thanks for watching. Like and sub. Support patreon.com/rocky.outcrop. Then what it says below is the top donator, all the new members, the recent subscribers, all that stuff. But as you can see, there's been none of that in today's show, so it doesn't show up in the credits. But next time, you'll see this sort of thing happening. But that's cool anyway. That's at least everybody knows that the show is over. I could probably edit it to take the word credits out of it, and instead you would just know that it's got like that we're at the end of the show or whatever. So here I am in my credits thingy. If I just take this out and say I thank you for the watch, please, thank you, please, is the title of that one instead, and then hit save settings, and it won't look so weird saying credits, right? And jump back over here. So now it doesn't look weird anymore when I roll the credits, right? Let's see how this looks. I thank you for the watch, please, thank you, please. Yes, that's more like it. Cool, excellent. We'll leave this running for 5 minutes as I tune out. Sarah, come back and tell us. Sarah! Sarah! Worry to watch. We're all so excited. 3,000 Trin, good to have you here. You made it in time for you to feature at the very end of the reverse roll call. How about that? What's up, y'all? We're just appreciating life at the minute. Appreciating life. It's been a good life. Thank you for life. We appreciate you. Yeah, so anyway, fantastic show. I'm gonna nip on off now. I'll hit the silence button. Yeah, I'll mute myself. That's great. That means I can go and have a wee. How about that? That'll be fantastic. Wish me luck, everybody. I'll need it. I'll have it. Yes, Sarah, why you leave it? Why? Sarah, why'd you leave us hanging? Yeah, if everybody could hit that like button, if you're still watching and you haven't hit the like button, then do it. Hit the like button. It'd be fantastic. You'll want to later. You'll wake up in the middle of the night and you'll think, oh, did I hit the like button or not? I better get up and go and hit the like button. And I tell you, you'd be better off just hitting it now instead. Way better. Way more convenient. Mucho maso conveniento, as they say. Aha. Catch y'all next time. Oh, and by the way, if you want to know like when my next stream will be or any of that sort of stuff, and there's a decent schedule for them, but if you're interested in that, you can find out by asking me in the Discord or on Twitter or any of that sort of stuff, and I'll just get back to you. I'm that type of guy. Mucho lavo, all mis amigos. Chowzo for nowzo.